floor or on the chair? Because I can get you that.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين وخاتم الرسل أجمعين سيدنا ونبينا محمد بن عبد الله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. اللهم اهدنا لأحسن الأقوال والأعمال لا يهدي لأحسنها إلا أنت واصرف عنا سيئها لا يصرف عنا سيئها إلا أنت. We are continuing our study of fiqh or Islamic jurisprudence from the book Umdat al-Fiqh by Ibn Qudamah rahimahullah ta'ala. And we were reviewing previous lessons. We're going to start inshallah today Arkan al-Salati wa wajibatuha, the pillars and mandatory acts of Salah. We're going to define what that means and the difference between them. But before we do that, let's do a quick recap of some of the terminologies that we have covered before, just so we make sure that we understand what we say when we say something, and if we use some terms, we know exactly what we're talking about. Number one, what is fiqh? We say fiqh, yeah.
The legal rulings of Islam, the application of legal
Yes,
rulings.
applications, practical rulings. So we have theological rulings, that's what we call aqidah. And then we have the practical rulings of Islam, that's fiqh. So when we speak about fiqh, we're talking about, when we say legal rulings, it's not the context of what the law is in civil context, but rather is legal as in religious law. So that applies to acts of worship, beliefs, creed, etc. Secondly, when we say in fiqh that something is wajib, what does that entail? Yes, Ali.
One must do it, otherwise he is sinful.
Yes, and if he does it,
If he does it, he's wrong.
yes. So it's the act which, if you do, you are promised of a reward, and if you do not do, then you are warned of a punishment. Wajib, which means mandatory, is an act which you are required to do, and if you do it, the reward, the consequence of doing it, of fulfilling the obligation, is rewards. But the consequence of not doing it, violating the obligation, would be punishment. So that's wajib. But if we say something is mustahab, encouraged, what's the definition of that? Yeah.
Something is mustahab, is not wajib, meaning it's not mandatory to do it, but you do get an emphasized reward on it. Otherwise, nothing. So, no.
Yes. So we're just going to use that duality, punishment and rewards. If you do it, you are promised of a reward. If you do not do it, there are no punishment or any consequence to not doing it, because it's only encouraged, it's not mandatory. Like when we say something is haram, forbidden or prohibited. Yes. Go ahead.
If you do something that is haram, or promise a sin, or warned of a sin, and if you
Warned of a sin?
warned of a sin, yes.
No.
Warned of a punishment.
Punishment.
No.
Okay, that's if you do.
If you do it.
Okay.
If you leave it off with the intention of leaving it off, you are awarded.
Yes, it's the exact opposite of mandatory. In the mandatory act, we said if you do it, there is a reward. If you do not do it, there is a punishment. A prohibited act is the exact opposite. If you do it, there is a punishment. If you do not do it, there is a reward. Complete reversal of wajib. طيب. What if it's discouraged? Makruh. Ya Bilal.
If you do it, you're promised a reward. If you don't, then nothing happens.
No, that's mustahab.
Wait, what did you say?
Makruh.
Oh, I thought you said what's the fact?
Makruh.
Yes, sir.
Okay, what's makruh?
If you do it, you're warned of a punishment. If you don't do it, then
If I do it, I'm warned of a punishment. That's
Yes,
haram.
yes,
Okay.
if you do it, nothing happens. If you
Yes.
don't do it, you're promised reward.
Yes, exactly. When Allah discourages you from doing something, that means you don't have to abstain, but if you do abstain in obedience to Allah, then Allah would reward you for that. But if you do it anyway, then there is no punishment because it's not prohibited, it's just discouraged. And finally, these are the four. The fifth one is mubah or permissible. What's the definition of permissible, Ya Umar? Yeah, use the duality of rewards and punishment. No reward for what? For doing it or not doing it? Let's say I just do it. Don't worry about the intention. Nothing. Am I warned the punishment then? How about if I don't do it? Also nothing? What's this? Open. Yeah, that's permissible, which is whether you do it or not, there is neither promise of reward nor warning of punishment because it's just permissible. It's just permissible. What he's talking about, the intention is if you do something permissible with the intention that you're doing it to protect yourself from the non-permissible, the impermissible, then that intention may get you rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. طيب, that's good. Why is that important? Because as we go into the arkan and wajibat, it's important to differentiate between some of the terms. So finally, the final term, what's a prerequisite? What's a shart? A shart. Prerequisite or condition. How do we define it from a legal point of view?
Something that if it is not there, the very act itself is not able to be committed.
What's that again?
Something that if it is not there,
Okay.
the very act itself, مثلا salah,
Mm.
if the prerequisite of salah is not there, then salah cannot be performed.
Is that it?
No.
No. That's good, but that's not enough.
I'm missing something.
You're missing this is one half. There's a second part of the definition. What he said is this is an act, the absence of which would invalidate the deed. This is the prerequisite. Its presence is mandatory for the validity of the deed. So, for example, one of the prerequisites of siyam is intention. If I don't have intention to fast, me abstaining from drinking or eating wouldn't count as fasting because there's no intention of fasting. So the absence of it does not or invalidates the deed. Right.
It must be withheld throughout the entirety.
That's something else. Okay. It must be maintained throughout the entirety of the deed. What else? There's something else that's very important.
Very important.
Very important. It differentiates between a shart and a pillar.
And it must be done before.
No. That's also good. Like the pillar starts with the deed, the prerequisite just before the deed. Okay, good. But that's not the centric point. No, let's talk about shart. He said the shart, its absence invalidates the prayer or the deed, whatever the deed is. Okay, what else? What makes a shart a shart?
It's not in the question itself.
No, look at, again, the definitions, or this definition is just like the definition of the ahkam. There's a duality. The absence causes so and so. Okay, then what? The presence, what does it do? No. Invalidates? Validates? Well, obviously, because the first one said invalidates. Yeah, so what does the presence of the prerequisite do? Or doesn't do, really, in this definition? The presence of the prerequisite, what does it not do?
The definition.
Yes. You guys don't remember we mentioned this?
It doesn't like fulfill the.
No, it doesn't necessitate the presence of the deed. What does that mean? One of the prerequisites of salah is what? The time, or wudu. Now, if I do wudu, do I have to pray? It's a prerequisite of salah. So, because the presence of that prerequisite, if it necessitates the deed, that means as soon as I do wudu, I must pray now. Is that correct? No. So, a prerequisite is an act or something, the absence of which would invalidate the deed, but the presence of which does not necessarily demand the presence of the deed itself. The time of salah comes, I can pray now, or I can pray in half an hour or an hour. I still have time. Just because I'm facing the qibla doesn't mean I have to pray, even though it's a prerequisite. So the presence of the prerequisite does not necessarily demand the presence of the deed. But the presence of the deed demands the presence of the prerequisite. Is that clear? Without the prerequisite, the deed wouldn't be good, wouldn't be present. So we cannot pray without facing the qibla. We cannot pray without wudu. We cannot pray without the time of the salah entering or beginning. So the presence of the deed, meaning the validity of the deed, requires the presence of the prerequisites. But the other way around is not necessarily correct. The presence of the prerequisite does not necessarily mean the deed will be present. Is that clear? Right. Why is that important? Because when we come to define a pillar, we'll find that the presence of the pillar necessitates the presence of the deed. I can't say I'm doing sujood because I'm exercising. No, the sujood means salah. Sujood is part of salah. If I'm facing the qibla, putting my hand here and reading Surah al-Fatiha, I'm not doing anything other than salah. There's no way I can say, oh, this is just me reading Surah al-Fatiha. The presence of the pillar necessitates the presence of the deed. The absence of the pillar necessitates the absence of the deed. No, but if I'm standing, putting my hand, saying Allahu Akbar, then reading Surah al-Fatiha, there is no way this process is not salah. So the pillar mandates or demands the presence of the deed. That's the difference. So now when we study Arkan al-Salah, the pillars of Salah, we are studying acts of the prayer, which we already covered. We already covered all of the acts of the prayer. Now, not all of the acts of the prayer are pillars. Some of them are pillars, some of them are mandatory, some of them are just encouraged, non-mandatory. So we're going to go through these acts and then categorize each of them. The focus of today's acts is only what's mandatory, what's required of you, what you must do during the salah. So if we don't mention this, if we don't mention an act in today's session, that means this act is non-mandatory. You're not required to do. So let's start from the very beginning of the salah. Facing the qibla is a pillar of salah. True or false? False. Why? It's a shart, prerequisite, yes. Fine. So the arkan are the mandatory act without which the salah would be invalid. Right. Is that enough in the definition? No. This isn't enough. Why? Because the wajibat, the mandatory acts, are also mandatory acts without which the salah would be invalid. So what's the difference between wajib, mandatory, and rukn, pillar? Both of them are mandatory acts. A pillar is mandatory and a wajib, obviously, is mandatory. So what's the difference between them? The difference is in the event of forgetfulness. In the event of forgetfulness. If you forget a pillar, you are required to go back and do it. You cannot just move on. Unlike a mandatory act, if you forget a mandatory act and you move on to the next step, you don't have to go back. You don't have to go back. We'll mention in more details later, but the point is, a pillar, you cannot miss it. It is unforgivable, meaning not in the sense of sin, but in the sense of validity. It is unforgivable to miss a pillar. Unlike a mandatory act, which if you forget it, your salah would still be valid even though you didn't make it up. You didn't make up for it. So, starting from the beginning of salah, the first pillar we have is standing up. When you are able. Standing up when able. So when the prayer begins, as you raise your hand to say Allahu Akbar, you must be in a position of standing. You must be in a position of standing. Without that, the salah is invalid. What if someone is sick, old, their leg is broken, someone is paralyzed? Do we say to them that your salah will always be invalid? No. Al-qiyamu ma'al-qudra. The standing when able. When able. That's a kind of a conditional sentence as to this pillar. So when able, you stand up. When you're not able, then there's no need to stand up. Second pillar. Now, we don't cover the dalil here because this is a very concise study. If we're going to go through the evidence and the discussion, analysis of the evidence and everything, that will take time. The second pillar is Takbiratul Ihram. This is a pillar. Takbiratul Ihram. And Takbiratul Ihram, the initiation takbir, is the only takbir in Salah which is a pillar. The rest of the takbirat, rest of takbirs are mandatory. Not a pillar, just mandatory. Why is that distinction? Why do we say Takbiratul Ihram is a pillar but the rest are not pillars? How do we know that? Anyone cares to weigh here?
Why is Takbiratul Ihram a pillar and the rest aren't? Is your question?
Say again?
Why is Takbiratul Ihram a pillar and the rest aren't?
Yes.
Like, I would say because it's the initiation of Salah,
So?
whereas there's nothing else you could be doing. I guess, actually, no. See where I'm going with this. Because anybody said there's nothing else you could do. You're going to Takbiratul Ihram.
Yeah. Anyone else? So what does that mean? This is fiqh, legal, right? Legalize it. You know the hashtag legalize it? Yeah, that's not that one though. Yeah.
Is it perhaps because this specific takbir is designed,
It
it is designed only to be used for salah?
Not exactly. I see where you're going there. You go to the definition.
It's like the state of Ihram is the sacred state that one must adopt when
Yes.
one is pursuing Hajj. So
Yeah.
is it something like that?
It is similar to that. Actually, that's a very good point. Drawing that analysis is a very good point. So, Takbirat al-Ihram, the reason why Ihram is the first stage of Hajj now.
Because like some stuff comes out,
Yeah, but why Takbirat al-Ihram though? So, the relation or the link between Takbirat al-Ihram, can someone go after him and tell him the side masala is closed? He's not supposed to be there, the brother. Yeah, just bring him here. So it's not that. The point is that Ihram for Hajj is the first stage after which the Hajj begins. So it's kind of the identifying marker where Hajj begins. Takbirat al-Ihram is the same thing. Everything else follows Takbirat al-Ihram. So it's kind of like the starting point of Salah. That's why it's called the initiation takbir. In the initiation takbir, without it, there would be no other acts, no mandatory acts and nothing. Besides, the Prophet ﷺ also mentioned in the hadith, تَحْلِيلُهَا التَّكْبِيرُ وَتَحْرِيمُهَا التَّسْلِيمُ. So here, he is defining for us where does the salah begin and where does it end. It starts with the takbir, it ends with the taslim. So these beginning and ends are non-negotiable. These are the arkan. It begins with takbir and it ends with taslim. So the takbir is a rukun and the taslim is a rukun as well. Is that clear to everyone? Because without takbirat al-ihram, all the other takbirs wouldn't make sense. That's the point Ali was trying to say. because Takbirat al-Ihram initiates the salah, makes everything else comes in order. And without that, there wouldn't be salah. So Takbirat al-Ihram is the first, or is the second pillar. We have 14 pillars, just so you can count with me. Okay, 14. The first one is standing up when able. Second one is Takbirat al-Ihram. طيب. Here is something that's some people confused. What is Takbirat al-Ihram? Which part of the takbir or that act that we call Takbirat al-Ihram is actually Takbirat al-Ihram? The words, which is Allahu Akbar. Okay, what about this? You know, people raise their hands and then they place it on the chest, right? Is this part of Takbirat al-Ihram? No. This is a separate act, which is called raising the hands with Takbirat al-Ihram. So you have Takbirat al-Ihram, which is Allahu Akbar. Just saying these two words, that's Takbirat al-Ihram. Whether I raise my hand, I put my hand by my side, I scratch my head as I say it, it doesn't matter. As long as I say Allahu Akbar, and in my heart, this is the first takbir of salah, the initiation takbir, that's Takbirat al-Ihram. The position of the hand is irrelevant to Takbirat al-Ihram. طيب. So the second pillar is Takbirat al-Ihram, which is saying Allahu Akbar. After Takbirat al-Ihram, what's the next pillar? Reading Surah al-Fatiha. Reading Surah al-Fatiha. Surah al-Fatiha, there is khilaf or disagreement amongst the scholars as to whether it's a pillar or not. And then if it's a pillar, how much of it would suffice? How much of it would suffice? Without going through the madhabi difference of opinion, the conclusion is, the correct opinion inshallah, is that the entirety of Surah al-Fatiha is required from two people and not required from one. It's required from two people and not required from one. It is required from the Imam, and the second one is required from, it's the one praying by themselves, the individual worshipper. So if the Imam is leading the Salah, he must read Surah al-Fatiha. Without that, his Salah is invalid, and subsequently to that, the prayer of everyone behind him are also invalid. And if you're praying by yourself, no Imam, you're also required to read Surah al-Fatiha. However, the third person who is not required to read Surah al-Fatiha is the follower of the Imam. The one who prays behind the Imam has the choice whether to read Surah al-Fatiha or not. In out loud prayers, when the Imam reads the Quran, he's not required. But if the Imam is not reading out loud, there is also a difference of opinion here. The safest opinion would be for you to read Surah al-Fatiha by yourself. So third rak'ah of Salatul Maghrib, second two rak'ah of Salatul Isha, and all the four rak'at of Salatul Dhuhr and Asr. In these units, you're supposed to read Surah al-Fatiha even if you're behind the Imam. What if I miss it? What if I'm too slow and the Imam is too quick? What if I don't have time? What if? As long as you're a follower of the Imam, you do what you can and then you leave the rest for the Imam. So if the Imam goes to ruku' before you finish Surah al-Fatiha, before you finish Surah al-Fatiha, then you go for ruku' with him. You don't have to finish Surah al-Fatiha as long as you try your best. If the Imam is reading in Salatul Fajr or the first two rak'ah of Maghrib and Isha, then after he's done with Surah al-Fatiha, you read Surah al-Fatiha as well if you can. If you cannot, then it's fine. You don't have to. So the summary, Surah al-Fatiha is a mandatory act for the Imam and for the one praying by themselves, and it's not required but encouraged for the one who is praying behind the Imam. That's the summary. Like after reading Surah al-Fatiha, the fourth pillar is ruku'. Ruku' here, what are we referring to? Is it saying Subhana Rabbi al-Azim? Is it saying Allahu Akbar, to move, to bow? What is ruku'? The movement to ruku'. No. You're going from qiyam to ruku', that's ruku'?
Yeah.
So how are you defining ruku' with ruku'?
Sorry? Oh, you want a definition for the ruku'?
Not necessarily a definition. I just want to know what is a pillar. What's ruku'?
It's the act of being like a bow.
Yes, only the bowing position. You moving from here to here is not part of the ruku'. The ruku' is this. Okay? Yeah, yeah. Did you understand? Yes, bowing. So you're standing up. This is bowing down. The transition is not part of the ruku'. The ruku' itself is this. But you cannot go there without the transition. So the transition comes. But the ruku' we're talking about is this position. Why does that make a difference? What if someone goes for ruku'? The imam lifts up, so he goes back up again. Doesn't actually go there. Did this person do ruku'? No. Yeah. According to your definition, he did. No, fully to ruku'. I know what you said, but that means if he did this and went back, then he did some of the ruku'. No, the ruku' is this. Yeah. Anyway, so the ruku' is the fourth pillar, which is the act of bowing, being in fully a bowing position. And the bowing position, your back in relation to your legs should be in a 90 degrees angle. Your back in relation to your legs should be in a 90 degrees angle. So that's ruku'. That's pillar number 4. Number 5 is lifting up from the ruku', standing up. Again, al-ruku'u wal-raf'u, rising from the bow. Rising from the bow, that's also another pillar. Number 6 is sujood, prostration. Prostration is the act of positioning your body where your feet, your knees, your hands, your forehead, and your nose will be all within direct physical contact with the ground. The position of having your feet, both of your feet, both of your knees, your hands, and your nose and forehead are all simultaneously in direct physical contact with the ground. Now, here is an important question. What constitutes a direct physical contact with the ground? So now we are really on the first floor, right? So on the first floor, there is no ground. This is just what's underneath us is probably cement or wood. I don't know what material you guys use here to build, but it's not the ground. The ground is way down there. So every time the imam goes for sujood, do I have to jump out the window to kiss the ground and come back up? No way, right? So what constitutes a direct physical contact with the ground? Who cares to answer? Go ahead. Why?
No, I feel like no matter what I say, there's some semantic thing.
That's how you learn. That's how you learn. You're supposed to.
When you and the hard thing beneath your feet touch
You see how he got it?
just for the record, you know how many seconds of thought that I put into that?
Yeah. MashaAllah. Yeah. It's the ground is simply what you stand on. Whatever it is that you're standing on is the ground. Yeah, mashallah. No, he is, yeah.
It's I think it's Imam Umar Sulaiman says the less you think about it, the
Yeah.
easier it will be to think about it. Yeah.
That's why you didn't run for the council,
In LaSalle, yes I
did
did.
you?
Yes I did.
And I guess it didn't go.
No, he didn't.
Yeah. So why don't you run for Windsor? You know the elections are still open.
I don't know that I have to identify the ward first. I don't know if I fall within the city limits.
You moved to Windsor now.
Yeah.
You just need to change your address on your ID, and then whatever ward that is, you run for it.
Maybe.
Honestly, we need more Muslims in the city council. Yeah. So see, the way he thinks is just, it's good. Anyway, so yes, it is whatever you stand on. Why does that make a difference? For us, it doesn't. But there are people who say, no, you have to put your head on the actual ground. So carpet, it's not just the Shia. The carpet actually would invalidate your salah. So it's the Shia, yes. But besides the Shia, there is a group in the Indian subcontinent called, what are they called? Brailwi. They're called Brailwi. They don't pray with like the carpet that us kuffar are praying on. That's what they call us, honestly. Yeah. So they call us infidels. Yeah, there's some crazy people. Anyway, I heard they opened the new masjid here in Windsor, the Brailleries. So
Which message is that?
I don't know. So they bought some place and they converted it to a Braillery masjid. But the point is, whatever you stand on, regardless of material, you can pray on. How about if I have a hat on? Does that, like this? So let's say this is on my forehead. I'm pulling it down just for the sake of argument. Now this is between me and the ground. This may seem like nothing, but in the winter, the thick winter, hats that we wear, that could stand between you and the ground. Does that cause any issues? No. According to, inshallah, to the correct opinion, no. Whatever you wear on your head does not stand between you and the ground. It's fine. What if I'm standing on, let's say, grass, but I put something in front of me for sujood? Now, what I'm standing on is not the same as what I'm prostrating on. Yani, that's just ridiculous, right? The point is that the ground is the ground. So that's, the ground is the general mass around you. Even if there's some carpet or something between you and the ground, should be fine. What if I'm wearing a mask? Now with the smokes and before with COVID, yes, that, if the mask was medically required, then yes. But if you're just a paranoid, OCD, kind of people who just keep wearing masks for no reason, no, that would be a problem. Now, niqab is a good question. A woman is not supposed to wear niqab when praying anyway. A woman is not supposed to wear niqab when she prays anyway. So she's supposed to remove the niqab, but if the hijab is covering the forehead, it's fine.
Even if there's fear of men seeing?
Now,
Even if there's fear of men seeing?
if there are men around, she shouldn't be praying there.
In the haram.
In the haram, khalas.
Shouldn't cover.
Yeah?
Shouldn't cover.
She uncovers her face.
Uncovered.
Yes. It's fine.
Sure. Good question. How much pressure do you need to put on your forehead when you're putting it down? For example, when you're praying outside on dirt, for example, once I was praying and under the tarp, there's a bit of rocks.
Yeah.
It's if you push too hard, it hurts. So
Oh.
I
I mean, I guess the minimum is you need to hear your skull crack. That's when you're good now. You're going to too much technicalities, It's just physical contact. You don't have to have pressure or something. Besides, if you're praying in a place like that, change the place. Why are you praying there?
It's not a camera.
Yeah, find something or change or remove. You can mid salah remove the rocks actually, so you can.
I'm asking because remember Maureen, I was talking with him about this, and he was saying one of his teachers said something about when you're if there was cotton between your forehead and the ground, there should be enough pressure that the cotton gets.
Yeah, Shafi is getting to too much of these things. They get into too many details. Khas, it's just sujood. Don't overthink it. The Shafi is going to lots of what ifs. Hypotheticals. No, just sujood. End of story. So after sujood is number what?
Number 6.
Number 6, right? Then sitting up from sujood. The sit between the two sajdas is also a pillar. The sitting, not the dua you say during the sitting. Mind you, I didn't say Subhana Rabbi al-Azim. I didn't say Subhana Rabbi al-A'la in the pillars. So in ruku' you say Subhana Rabbi al-Azim. I didn't mention that. When you rise from ruku' you say Sami Allahu liman hamida. Rabbana wa lakal hamd. I did not mention that. In sujood you say Subhana Rabbi al-A'la. I did not mention that either. Because none of them, there is no statement or speech that you say is a pillar, aside from Surah Al-Fatiha and Takbiratul Ihram. Every other pillar is just acts, something actionable. But the speech is not part of that pillar. So all of these things are now are wajibat, mandatory acts. We'll come to them. So now, taslim is the motion as well, yes. So al-julus anhu, then what's the next? Tumanina comes at the end. At-tashahhud, which is Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad at the end. Not التحيات لله والصلوات والطيبات السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. That part is not pillar in the first tashahhud. Okay, so we have two tashahhuds, right? If your salah is more than 2 rak'ah, there will be 2 times where you read that dua. The first time is not a pillar. The second time, which is just before salam, is a pillar. Is that clear? So التحيات لله all the way to اللهم صل على Muhammad. Stop. That's a pillar. If you miss the rest, accidentally, forgetfully, forcefully, then your salah is valid. If you miss any part from التحيات to اللهم صل على Muhammad, then your salah would be invalid, even if you had a good excuse, unless you make up for it.
So it doesn't, like the rukn doesn't end at the shahada, ends at Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.
Ends at اللهم صل على Muhammad. It's the shahada plus الصلاة على النبي. Plus الصلاة على النبي. So التشهد, I guess that's the third thing, that's a statement also from the pillars. Now, what's the number for that one? 7?
The sitting was 7.
Yes. Sitting was 7. So tashahhud is 8. Now, sitting for the tashahhud is number 9. The difference between them, the first sitting was between 2 sajdah. This sitting is the last sitting at the end of the salah. So the last sitting at the end of the salah, what position do you sit in is irrelevant to the fact it's being a pillar. However you sit, that's your choice. It's sunnah. But the fact that you sit is the pillar. So you cannot stand up and say the tahiyyat. You cannot stand up and say the tahiyyat. You cannot kneel and say the tahiyyat.
This book is saying number 8 is tranquility in all these pillars. Is that what you're
Oh, I'm not following that order. So the tranquility, I'll come to that.
Oh, okay.
In my memory, that's the last one. Yeah, because it comes at the end of all of the pillars. So the sitting for the tashahhud is a pillar of its own. Then we have, after the tashahhud and the sitting, taslim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Now, there are 2 taslims in salah. Which one of them is a pillar? Or are both of them pillars? The most correct opinion, inshallah, is that it's the first one. So, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. By the time your face goes back to facing the front, the pillar has ended. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, wajib. Or sunnah, khilaf. But the second one is not a pillar, which means if you forget it, if you accidentally or something, then your salah would be valid.
How much of the statement is a pillar?
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum is enough. Then, what's the number for that one?
From what you said,
10? So we have 4 left. How is it 4? We have a tuma'nina wa tartib. What else?
Here is only 12.
Yeah, I've got 12 too. I've got in order.
Arkan al-salah are 14. That's my memorization.
In order, we've got standing up, the opening of the Takbir al-Ihram, reading Surah al-Fatiha, the ruku', standing, sujood, sitting between the sujood, the last tashahhud, sitting during the last tashahhud, the first taslim, that's 10, and then the 11th one is the tranquility thing, and the last one is the order.
The order and the tranquility are number 11 and 12. So what am I missing? I know, my book says 12 as well. I'm just thinking from my memory. Now? No, I'm definitely 14. We memorized this when we were kids. أركان الصلاة 14.
You memorized all this when you were a child?
Yeah.
I guess that's not exactly surprising.
I mean, this is the basic of salah, so you have to.
Do you count the second sujood as a separate rukn?
So we have a niyyah, the intention, which is true. We didn't mention that.
is that a rukn?
Okay, yeah, I see what happened. Yeah. Now, النية شرط وركن, both. The tashahhud at the end, the one I memorized, separates between the tashahhud and the salah على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. So saying التحيات لله والصلوات والطيبات السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. At the end of the salah, that's a pillar. Then saying Allahumma salli ala Muhammad is a separate pillar. It's not connected to the first one. That's number 13, and intention is number 14. Okay, now it's all good. طيب, let's go to 11 and 12. Number 1, الطمأنينة. Number 2 is الترتيب. What are they? الطمأنينة is translated here as tranquility. By tranquility, we mean that the way you perform all of these pillars and every act of salah should be within a moderate pace. A moderate pace where when you start the act and end the act, the pace or the speed is reasonable. That you can perform the act properly and correctly. So what's let's say how do we measure it? How do I measure the pace? Am I too quick? Am I too slow? What's the defining criteria here? They say the defining criteria is that you perform the act until your body, your muscles all relax or settle. They stop moving. All of your joints, all of your muscles stop moving and just settle in that position. So if I'm standing up, then my knees are fully erect, my body is fully, my posture, I'm not leaning sideways or forward or something, I'm fully erect. That's qiyam. Then I go for ruku', and by the time my muscles and my body stops moving, and everything is settled in place, then I can move. From now, I can move, or any time after that. I don't have to move immediately, but this is the bare minimum for your movement. Then when you stand up until you stand fully erect again. Then when you go for sujood, you remain in sujood until your entire body settles in that position. Then you sit up until you fully sit up properly, and then your entire body settles in that position. It takes about 1-2 seconds for that entire process to continue. But the point, that's a tuma'nina. So if I say Allahu Akbar, Sami Allahu liman hamida, that's not that your salah is invalid. Your salah is invalid. Why? Because tuma'nina is required, at least in the Hanbali madhab. Some of you may have noticed some videos coming from the southern hemisphere where people pray. The Imam, and they race. The Imam is racing the Musallin and they try to catch up with him. That's definitely salah. This salah is invalid. They say, just for the sake of getting people to pray Taraweeh without hating Taraweeh, if they're going to pray Taraweeh like this, they might as well just go home and sleep. That salah makes absolutely no impact in their lives. Taraweeh is not the up and down. Taraweeh is the connection that you have with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when you pray in Ramadan at Qiyamul Layl. The point is, tuma'nina is the minimum pace to which you need to adhere so that every act is done properly and correctly. طيب. Last thing, at-tartib, the order. You follow the order of the salawat, of the arkan. So you start with the standing up, then you say takbirat al-ihram. You don't say takbirat al-ihram sitting, then you stand up. Salah is invalid. The order is required. The order is required. Then after the qiyam, you read after takbirat al-ihram, you read surah al-Fatiha. You can't read surah al-Fatiha before the takbirah. After surah al-Fatiha, you go for ruku'. You cannot go to ruku' before surah al-Fatiha. No, you have to follow that order. And the order itself is a pillar as well. So what does it mean to be a pillar, as we mentioned? Meaning, if you miss any of those acts and you don't make it up, then your salah would be invalid. Forgetfully, accidentally, mistakenly, forcefully, doesn't matter. If you don't do the act, your salah is invalid. So let's say I say Allahu Akbar and I'm praying by myself. There's no imam here, just me. And then my mind just goes into wild imagination. So I'm a billionaire. I have more money than Elon Musk. Is he now a trillionaire?
He is, yeah, $1.1 trillion.
Trillion, wow, yeah.
Somebody was saying it would take him like 3,800 years to spend all that money.
Not if I share it with him. Take him 2 days. So I'm thinking I'm a billionaire now, and what kind of car am I gonna buy? It's definitely a Corvette. Someday, I promise you, if I stay in Windsor long enough, I'm gonna get a Corvette, inshallah. As long as I don't get married, though. Then after the Corvette comes the wife. Definitely after. If the wife comes before, she's gonna eat everything. So then after that, I'm thinking of like what kind of job am I gonna do, and when I grow old, and how I'm gonna be the hero who frees Palestine, and wild imagination, right? No Surah Al-Fatiha. Then I'm like, oh, did I read Surah? I think I did. Allahu Akbar, and I go for ruku. Okay. So now that I went for ruku, I missed Surah Al-Fatiha. What did I miss? A pillar. Mid ruku, I'm like, when did I read Surah Al-Fatiha? When I started the salah, I immediately went to, like the Wonderland, and Alice in the Wonderlands. So I went to that place with Peter Pan, and so there's no way I read Surah Al-Fatiha. That means I forgot it. Do I say, okay, I'll just do 2 sajdah sahu, and that's it? No. What do? I stand up, I repeat. I dismiss the ruku' immediately. As soon as I remember that I missed a pillar, immediately I seize that act. I go back to the place where I forgot that pillar. I read Surah Al-Fatiha, I read the surah after that, then I go for ruku' again. How? I already did the ruku'. The order is required. What the ruku' you did was before Surah Al-Fatiha, so it doesn't count. It's dismissed. Then I lift up from my ruku', then I continue my salah. What if I remembered way later? I went for ruku', stood up from ruku', went for sujood, stood up from sujood. Mid-second sujood, I remembered. Oh, I didn't read Surah Al-Fatiha. What do I do? Stop the salah, start over. Why? Between you and the pillar you forgot, there are already 2 full pillars. 2 full pillars or more, your salah is invalid. You have to stop the salah, and not stop the salah. Your salah is already broken, so you just get up from whatever position you are, start over from the very beginning. But if the mistake was in the last rak'ah, it doesn't matter. If 2 pillars passed already and you didn't rectify the missed pillar, then by the time of the 3rd pillar, you repeat the salah from 0. You start over. You don't repeat the rak'ah, you repeat the whole salah. What if a woman has to pray in public? Does she uncover the niqab even though it covers the forehead? Sorry, I know this was already, okay. If a woman is wearing the niqab is face cover. For those who don't know the niqab, it's a face cover. So if a woman is wearing the niqab and she's praying in public and she fears that men will see her face, then we have one of 3 scenarios here. Number 1, the time of the salah is still flexible. Remind me if the time of adhan comes. How far? 8? Okay. The time of the salah is there's still enough time for her to go back home or go somewhere private and pray. Scenario number 1. Scenario number 2, she does not have time, and in 10 minutes or 5 minutes, the salah time will expire, and she doesn't have a private place to pray in. Scenario number 3, or actually scenario number 2, the time is about to expire and she has to be in that public place. Scenario number 3, same thing, but she doesn't have to be in that public place. So the answer to scenario number 1, she goes somewhere private and prays properly. Scenario number 2, the time is about to expire, so she prays with her face covered and she is sinful. Why is she sinful? Why is she there in the first place? When she knows that this is a salah time. So why did she schedule her public? It's not haram for her to go in public. It's haram for her to go there at salah time and she knows she won't be able to pray there. It's like, I know that dhuhr is in 10 minutes. And I go to sleep and I don't wake up until Asr. And I'm like, oh, I slept through it. No, I knew dhuhr was coming. So I intentionally missed the salah. In scenario number 3, she has to be there, like a hospital or something, and there is no other way, then khalas, she prays as is, and inshallah there is no sin on her. What if the mistake was noticed at the 3rd rak'ah and it's only one pillar missed? Can we just add 1 rak'ah extra? No. If you passed the point where the pillar is missed and you're already in the 3rd rak'ah, you have to repeat the salah. The pillar is gone. You cannot rectify that situation anymore.
Just for my notes here, you said the 3 situations for the niqabi were the first, she has to go home.
She has enough time to go home and pray there, or anywhere that's private.
Okay, and then the second one is if the time is expiring and she does not have to be in public, same principle, just go home.
No, same principle, not same principle. She prays there, but she is sinful for putting herself in a position where she has to compromise one of the aspects of salah. It's not a pillar of salah, but it's still required. And the third one, she prays there in public, but there is no sin because she had to be there. There's no other.
She's an ER nurse, for example.
Yeah, or she's a patient who's going to the hospital, then we cannot tell her, oh, you cannot. No, she can pray and there's no sin on her.
I'm praying behind someone. Does get then he says, then say Fatiha.
You say Subhanallah. This is a good question. I'm behind an imam.
But he intentionally, he follows the opinion where.
Yeah, so I'm behind an imam. And this imam misses a pillar. According to me, he missed a pillar. Let's use the example of Surah Al-Fatiha. This pillar is missed. So I say Subhanallah. The imam ignores me. Subhanallah again. The imam ignores me. Subhanallah a 3rd time. If he ignores me, I separate myself. I no longer follow this man. I continue my salah on my own. Let's say the imam follows a different madhab where Surah Al-Fatiha is not required. That's fine for him. But I have to read Surah Al-Fatiha, so he needs to read it. If he doesn't, then khalas. I separate myself. I don't break the salah. Your salah is still valid. All you have to do is change your intention from being a follower of an imam to being an individual prayer, an individual person who prays.
He misses something and doesn't know. He doesn't know what to do.
So the imam is praying and he misses something. You say Subhanallah. He realizes that something is wrong. He just doesn't know what is it, right? So let's say he missed the ruku', went for sujood immediately. He's so absent-minded, he doesn't even know he missed the ruku'. You say Subhanallah. He's like, I'm pretty sure it's sujood time. Subhanallah, Subhanallah. You say it out. You miss the ruku'. If you can say it in Arabic, you say it in Arabic. Lam tarka' aw fawwatta rak'ah. If you can't, say it in English. You missed the ruku'. Then he should realize by then. If he doesn't, again, you separate. Any imam that doesn't act intentionally, that would invalidate your salah and insists on it, you separate from him. You don't break your salah, you just continue on your own without praying behind him. You don't even need to move anything. You are as is, just in your intention and no longer following him, then you continue your salah at your own pace. You ignore him. Are men also restricted from praying around women? Or is this only a standard made for sisters? I don't understand that. Praying around women? I don't know. It's the username is just numbers.
She's relating it to how.
Maybe it's a he. How do you know it's a she?
It sounds like it.
Yeah? Could be a feminist he.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
She's relating it to the hukum of women praying with their face covered. She's like, why? She's trying to say, why are women only praying? Why do they have so much standards?
Is that what you're saying? I think he's putting words in your mouth. I don't think that's what, Allahu Alam. Are men also restricted from praying around women, or is this only a standard made for sisters? There is no restriction as to who prays around whom, but if you praying would cause you to be exposed to the opposite gender, meaning inappropriately or so, then yeah, that's why women pray in the back of the masjid so that men don't have to see them. Because Islam always looks to covering women, protecting women. So men are not allowed to pray with women, like between them or behind them. If there's a group of women praying, the men are required to go in front or somewhere else. So that's also a restriction on men. And then in 50 seconds, okay. I hope that's clear. If it's not clear, you can continue or send that question in the group chat, inshallah, in WhatsApp. Any other questions? طيب سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Aqidah is tomorrow after Asr, or should we do 8 also 8 to 9? After Asr.
عشان we have much time.
Okay, inshallah. تفضل.